everyone. Welcome to this episode of Ecoffee with Experts. I'm your host, Matt Fraser. And on today's episode, I have with me Dave Meyer. Dave is the founder and president of Bizzy Web, a full-service digital marketing agency and platinum HubSpot partner located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He has more than 22 years of experience in marketing and communications and is a national speaker and trainer for Google and HubSpot. In addition, he was the 2016 Entrepreneur of the Year at the Minneapolis Chamber of Commerce and is a recognized thought leader in digital marketing, inbound marketing, SEO, email marketing, and sales enablement. When not working on marketing and sales campaigns for clients, Dave enjoys relaxing with his family at his cabin, tinkering with old cars, and traveling. Dave, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, Matt. This is going to be really fun.
Yeah, right on. So Dave, 22 years of experience. That's just phenomenal. There's, it's amazing how much our industry has evolved and I'm in the industry of the digital marketing side of things. I remember when the internet just came out and I didn't even have it in high school. And now these kids, these kids nowadays are so spoiled. Boy, we punish them as to take away their Wi-Fi.
Right.
But how did you get started? Like what drew you to digital marketing and exploring this world of that?
It's in the olden days, in the 90s, when I was training up and moving through, right? All of us Gen Xers as a generation seems like our biggest thing is we're the translation generation, right? So we bridge the gap between millennials and Z. And boomers, and we're kind of the ones that can help you reset your router and can still talk, all of the LOL speak and all that stuff, right? So I kind of fit that role, and I started in communications and marketing, and really was internal communications and public relations and print journalism at my local university, and when I started, I just kind of looked around for places and worked for a couple of PR firms. I worked for an agency that did both Coca-Cola and Jim Beam. So we had perfect, our back room was stocked well full of a good evening wherever we went. And that's awesome. It was tremendous and it was super fun. But I learned quickly that the media relations side probably wasn't for me, and I was more focused on relationships, cold calling for press coverage and getting a number of inches or column inches worth of publicity on a DIY showdown where you hammered in nails and things in order to get a favorable coverage. It just wasn't my thing. And so I got into internal, and then that kind of led over to the web in 97 because I was working for a state agency and they wanted me to build them a website because I was one of those young kids that could handle all this web stuff. Right. Yeah. And so of course I took the reins, and the rest is kind of history because then I just fell in love with marketing and technology and tools that can help people scale as much as possible using as little input or technology as possible.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun, isn't it? I look at it as fun. Like it's, crafting a marketing campaign and implementing it and seeing the difference that you can make in a business. As I was alluding to off camera, like I took a dealership from the second worst dealership in Western Canada, where I'm from, to number one. And you got to bet that, they were renovating the dealership, salespeople were wearing nicer suits. Lots of things were happening. Yeah. I didn't get paid any more money, but I wasn't there for that. I was there for a case study. But it's a lot of the point I'm trying to make is it's a lot of fun to see the impact that our jobs can make on the bottom line of the business. It's and
that's really why I love working and doing what I do, because as the owner of an agency, I help a couple hundred clients to put food on the plates of not only them but all of their employees. And same thing, like Bizzy Web, my agency has 23 employees. And, I'm responsible for those folks. And so getting a chance to help companies scale and grow and then get paid to do it. What an amazing thing.
What an amazing thing. And it's almost like we as, marketing agency owners, you're really the outsourced marketing department of a lot of these businesses. Because let's be frank, they can't really afford I had someone, this is probably the same for you, but people can't afford to hire you as an employee. They can't afford you. You're too valuable. You have too much experience, too much knowledge. They can't afford it, but they can afford to like a small part of your time or in order to help them, you know what I mean? But to actually bring on. And so sometimes as agencies, we're really the external marketing department for a lot of these companies.
Yes. Yes. And it's fun because we fill that role as agencies. We fill that role for companies that probably couldn't afford it otherwise. I mean, they'd never be able to afford the 23 people that I have that are all experts in their particular fields. And for us, we work in manufacturing and B2B services. And so for those folks, we can actually drive for about the cost of a hire, like one person. Instead of hiring that one person, they can bring on our agency, and we do the content, we do the emails, we do the follow-ups, we do the inbound, we build their website, and it's all just kind of hands off. We need somebody to talk to and work with. But once we have that, and once we forge that connection, we are their best friends because we're responsible for driving revenue.
Absolutely. Hey, how do you tie that, what we do? Because I know there's a disconnect a lot. In fact, like I was alluding to earlier, like I didn't get paid more money for what I did, although I should have. But tying what we do, marketing to revenue, it seems like, I don't know if you found this to be the case. So I'm just speaking from experience here. But I found that there's a balance sheet. And sometimes sales is on the profit side of the ledger and marketing is on the loss side. The marketing is an expense and the sales is a revenue generator. But that's not the case. You and I both know that. Without marketing, salespeople cannot sell stuff because they don't get any leads. So what have been some of the ways for you to tie in and have the conversations with some of your clients of the value and translating that we're not an expense. We are actually an investment.
For our clients, one of the first things that I do when we have our first conversation is we sit down and we talk about, okay, well, how is the revenue flow working in your business? What are your sales looking like? What do you do? How many leads, how many visits are you receiving in order to work that? And how many of those leads are surfaced by sales teams that are just smiling and dialing or attending trade shows or whatever? And those obviously are going to stay the same, but how can we feed those leads or feed those sales teams better and give them more clickable stuff, to give them more intelligence about what they know about people that they're talking to and or those leads and connections? It's easy for B2C where you have a product that you sell. For B2B, it's more of a relationship. And so it's more about how many high quality leads do you need to bring in order to hit the sales goals or the growth goals that you have? And so it's simple as working the math and say, okay, well, we need 5,000 new visits to the website to get us 500 leads to get us 50 qualified leads that are sales viable, right?
Absolutely.
So that's some of the backhands or the back of the napkin math that we work on. But the other thing that a lot of companies discount, especially when they're talking about marketing or inbound, is if you just have a website and you don't really look at it, you're really throwing the money away, because websites should be proactively encouraging people and getting them more excited to talk to someone. A typical B2B conversation includes more than 80 clicks before they'll ever click the contact us form or call a company. If I don't have enough inside of those 80 clicks to reassure someone that I'm the solution for them, by the time they do want to call the sales team, if in the high unlikelihood they do, by the time that they do get a call, they're like, well, I don't even get you. But if I can have a conversation from the beginning and say, here's everything that you need as buyer to be successful inside of what we do for you, then it's an easy conversation. That's kind of what inbound's all about.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Like we were talking off camera. I mean, I read the book when it first came out, Inbound Marketing, which is written by the founders of HubSpot. Phenomenal book. Even to this day, I would recommend anybody read it. It's a phenomenal book. It changed the conversation about marketing. They really they didn't like reinvent something. They just changed the perspective of the way people should do things in regards to marketing. It was quite amazing how they took a unique position in order to tell people that, hey, you need to drive traffic into you to establish yourself as an authority. What are some of the ways that, like, for instance, I know you're a HubSpot partner, and HubSpot is so amazing in the sense of the way they do their marketing. They practice what they preach.
Right.
In the sense that, you go to you read a blog post on something, and there's a related lead magnet at the end of the blog post for you to opt in. And there's so many lead magnets that they have. And my question is, since that's kind of their philosophy about providing those lead magnets, do you think that's an intricate part of a marketing strategy that most businesses should adopt, or only specific industries?
I think for the high touch and high trust businesses, it's especially important.
Okay.
And by high trust, high touch, if you have a considered sales process, if you need to do a lot of research in order to make the buying decision, then it's absolutely essential that you have backup content to help you make your case. And by the way, the biggest thing that Inbound probably did, aside from, kind of changing the lexicon about how the lead flows work, the biggest thing that they probably did is they switched the focus from treating marketing like a megaphone, where you're just trying to shout at as many people as possible, to treating it like a conversation, where you're trying to engage as many people as possible and really draw them into a useful, helpful conversation.
Absolutely.
The worst thing that any business can do is to put up a website and just say, we've been in business for 25 years and we're so cool.
We're family owned.
This, without talking anything about the problems that they solve for their customers.
Yeah.
We need to spell out what's in it for our customers and how we can help them to be successful. Yeah. And that comes from listening. Yeah. And so that's really where the best conversations are. Like I mentioned before, in B2C marketing, you can have a fantastic sales campaign or an advertising campaign that goes to a really smart landing page that guides people and gives them all the information they need. You can do the research, you can click, and you can buy, and you're done. With B2B, it's much more relationship driven. And so that relationship and that conversation can be built much easier using a tool, in my case, like HubSpot, but with any sales automation software, to really turn a sales conversation or a click into like a choose your own adventure program. Right. So remember those books, go to page 134 to see if you should go down the stairs.
Yes.
We're trying to say, does it hurt here or does it hurt here? It's almost more like an ophthalmologist, right? So you're switching through, is this what you need or is this what you need? And then you let people vote with their fingers, with their clicks, and simply give them more of what they need. You have to think about it a lot more on the outset. And that's why having a professional to help you with inbound is important.
For sure.
Once you can drive and build a real relationship that feels conversational before they ever have a conversation with a salesperson, is pretty dang powerful.
Absolutely. So what part then does content play, and how important is it to develop a content plan for inbound marketing?
Well, the other thing that I do is I'm a speaker for Google, as you mentioned before, Matt. And without content, there's no matchmaking in search.
No.
Right? Google's job is to be the grand matchmaker between what people want and how they're going to get that information. And so search engine optimization, or SEO, is all about having enough content that you can prove to Google and to your eventual visitor that you are a resource that's worthy of their attention.
Yeah.
And so if you have content on your website that fills all of the stages of your buyer's journey, from consideration to awareness to purchase, and there's different questions that you ask at each of those levels. Yeah. If you can answer all of those questions and give Google and that person enough content that they know that you are the professional or that you are the solution for them, that's where the magic happens.
Absolutely. Hey, have you developed a framework, or what's been your experience in regards to what you just mentioned, the different consideration stages and matching up keyword searches. I mean, to me, it seems like the smart thing to do, but I haven't exactly come upon a strategy or a process yet for matching up, the top of funnel keywords, the middle of the funnel, or consideration awareness and awareness consideration and purchase, or, bottom of the funnel. In order to do that, I mean, I know that, like, for instance, buy now, like, or buy or quote or whatever, and free is top and so on and so forth. But are there any other insights you can share from your experiences about
For sure. And one of the first insights, of course, is that really marketing funnels are a little outdated as
they are
lexicon now, because what does a funnel do, right? You dump as much crap in the top, as many leads in the top as possible, and then out plops something that disappears and never to be seen again, right? So inside of marketing, we want to keep re-engaging people and engaging them in conversation. So I like to use the idea of the flywheel as a engagement process.
Absolutely.
So you go from attract, which marketers are mostly good at and they know about, to engage, which is having those conversations, doing the choose your own adventure stuff to give them more of what they're looking for, to delight. How did we do? Can we give you more? What else can we hand you? What else do you need? Or, hey, would you mind recommending us? So building on that word of mouth. Absolutely. So that can be incredibly powerful. So that's kind of my first answer. But the second thing is that as long as you think about the different ways that your customer is deciding to work with you, put that in buckets of some sort, and then identify content that directly matches to what they're looking for, not from a me version as a business, like, here's why we do this. We are the thing. We are whatever. Here's what we can do for you version. That's where it gets really important and really interesting. It's like, okay, well, what questions are they asking when they're thinking about buying, but they don't even know if what we do is the right solution? Well, they need to know the kind of stats, or they need to know what other options they have, and they need to know why we're better. And how do I engage them at every one of those levels? By putting that all into a CRM or an automation system, I can track it and then start measuring what's working and doing more of that, and then start cutting out the stuff that just doesn't result in any response.
Absolutely. And it's like you said earlier, like HubSpot, the book changed the conversation. And as you've alluded to, it made it customer centric rather than business centric. Rather than saying how great of a business we are, it's like, what problem does the prospect have as a customer that we can delight them in providing the solution, either in content or in actual services or products that can solve that problem, which is absolutely brilliant. And the funnel is not really that. It is an outdated term in that regard. And I love the marketing flywheel that HubSpot has come up with, or even the customer journey that I don't even know who came up with that. But that's what people are more on. Is they're on more of a circle, coming in and out at times. Maybe they're in the market and they're not, and they're in the market and they're just touching your hub. And the word HubSpot is such an amazing. I mean, they came up with such an amazing idea for the name of a company to name their product, because your website or whatever it is that you're using really does need to be the hub spot of your activities, doesn't it? It needs to be the central place where you're trying to drive traffic to in order to educate. In order to educate, inspire, convert, so on and so forth.
Yeah. But I almost phrase it, and HubSpot's a great tool, don't get me wrong, but the idea of just being as useful and as helpful to your audience as possible, so that it becomes a foregone conclusion that you want to work with them. Yeah, that's where the real magic happens. So, it's like the other thing on a flywheel when people are having trouble with it. I'm like, imagine it as a carousel where you're hopping on and off, and you want to ride the horses and check it out. A merry-go-round. Yeah. Is it good? Is it not? You pop in and off whenever you want. So if I can do that and think of the ways that people need it, that's what gets exciting for our customer, because it starts feeling like a consultative conversation instead of a gross sales pitch. Yeah. If we're at a cocktail party and I corner you and I talk about my pet project, or, I went to Mazatlan last week and they have coconuts and they do this stuff and whatever. And if I'm doing that, and I'm just boring you to tears by talking about me, that's an entirely different conversation than someone that asks smart questions and is designed and works at getting you working and chatting and gives you what they're looking for.
Absolutely. Or you just reminded me of some BNI meetings I was at. I used to be a BNI member. And the people who were most successful were the people that talked, that were the most, that listened the most and asked the most questions of other members. It wasn't the people that, I think it was, I can't remember his name, John Maxwell. He said, everybody, at least from my perspective, he said, everybody's got this medal around their neck that says, make me feel important. And the more you can do that, the more successful you will be. And I think that applies to even being in business with your customers. You know,
100%.
You don't want them to think about how great you are and how this, that, and everything. So absolutely. You know, you also alluded to earlier the fact of sales and marketing. We talked about those two things and preparing the leads for sales. And I noticed you have a topic, core topic on your website called smarketing.
Yes.
Can you elaborate a little bit on strategies to make to stop making marketing departments and sales departments enemies, and more so having them come together to close more deals, like you've alluded to on your website?
Be delighted. Yes. So the big thing, and if you remember the Glengarry Glen Ross movie, right? Coffees for closers, all that stuff, and people complaining, oh, the leads suck, and I hate the leads that I'm getting, blah blah blah. Your sales team is telling you that all the time. And what's marketing's response to that? Well, salespeople are just lazy. They don't pick up the leads. I give them brilliant leads. I got 95,000 people that visited my website last month. Half of them were crap, and the sales team is right. But we don't hear each other as much as we should. So the smarketing idea is that sales and marketing really needs to be one department. We're all in the same team. We're on team revenue. And if you're not working towards revenue, you're missing out a huge opportunity. Your sales team is in front of the people that you're trying to reach every day. And if they're listening, and if they can tell you, half of the people that I talk to, their biggest concern or their biggest pain point is X. If a marketer can write something that answers that pain point and give that to the sales team, it's just super, super easy to get that in front of the right people and to have that person feel heard.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's interesting. I've done both at the dealership. I started on the sales floor and did marketing. So I understand both challenges of the job. And I guess for marketers, it's frustrating when you see salespeople not, I would look down at the window and they'd say they weren't selling any cars. And I'd be like, you're playing with each other on your phones and playing tag. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, you guys aren't even working the leads. Like, do you think that someone's just supposed to come in and put their credit card down and be what we call a lay down to buy a $30,000 vehicle? I don't think so, man. Like, I worked my ass off when I was selling cars and was the first guy in and the last guy out in regards to that. And you mentioned the CRM. It's so important to use a CRM. And how can business, number one, I know a lot of businesses, it's astounding to me, don't have a CRM yet. I think the adoption of it is coming more and more so. There's a reason why HubSpot and other similar companies are growing in existence. But number one, how can businesses get started with a CRM, and then how can they get their salespeople to actually use the damn thing?
Oh, now we're talking about the fun stuff, right? So this is half of the conversations I have with business owners, by the way. They're like, I don't get the whole CRM thing. Or, I ask a sales team, how do you guys get leads right now? Or how are you keeping track of it? It's like, well, I have Post-it notes and an Excel spreadsheet. Like, oh my God, you poor thing, right?
Yeah.
So the cool thing, as you alluded to, Matt, about CRM is that it's become ubiquitous and very easy.
Yeah.
So there are very good tools that are available for not a ton of money anymore. Like HubSpot starts free. It's hard to beat free when you're talking about doing stuff, right? I can send emails. I can track every email that I send. I can keep all of my leads in a bucket and make sure that I'm following up with them across my entire sales team for free.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're not doing that, price is not an issue anymore. By the way, Salesforce and Keep and all the other big ones all have freemium versions as well. So if you don't like HubSpot, that's completely cool, but you don't have an excuse to say it's too expensive.
Yeah.
The next thing that comes in with CRM is that when people think it's too complicated or that it's cruddy or it's just hard to use, well, that was true 10 years ago, but right now, like I can scan every business card that I get at a show as soon as we're back in person full time, right? I can go, and the HubSpot app lets me scan all of my business cards. It does OCR recognition. That's and amazing. It puts all of those contacts in, and it lets me do a one-click connection with people on LinkedIn so that I can stay up to date and I can give them more interesting information. Yeah. Every single email that I send automatically hoovers up every conversation that I have. So if I go away on vacation, my co-seller, the other person in my sales team can pick up that conversation. Or if they talk to someone else at the front desk of my business, I know exactly what those conversations were. I don't have to call Bob or Bill or Mary. I can just see from the record, oh yeah, I see that you were talking about XYZ product. We can absolutely help you with that. And here are the 3 things that you need to know.
Yeah.
So all of those tools are super easy to use now. And even the paid versions of HubSpot, which, in order to bump up in different sizes, the free version's all branded, powered by HubSpot at the bottom of every email or whatever. The $25 a month version is completely branded for you, but it's just limited to some automations. And then once you get to the point where you need a paid version, it's literally your decision would be either I'm going to hire a sales assistant or I'm going to pay for the pro version and pay a third of what I would have for a person.
Exactly.
That's oh my God. It's the easiest conversation.
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. It's like work smarter, not harder, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's easy.
The things that you can do with marketing automation, I would never brand myself as a marketing automation expert, but I've learned a lot about marketing automation. And the things you can do are just unbelievable, man. Like in regards to, like we were talking about marketing qualified leads and sales qualified leads, or at least we're alluding to it. You can literally get that contact in there. And I don't know if it still works anymore, but, creating a user ID and matching that up in the CRM and then knowing who they are, which scares the crap out of some people.
Right.
But the point I'm trying to make is you can assign points to how many pages they clicked on, and don't assign it.
Right.
Do not assign it to a salesperson until there's a certain amount of points or visits or conversions or whatever that happen. It's unbelievable. You can literally take someone from a funnel or a process, whatever, of a lead magnet, and then warming them up and then moving them over and keep warming them up until you offer them the free consultation and then get them into the free consultation. And it's all automated. Your website literally becomes a salesperson. And people don't understand that. And it just blows my mind away. And you're talking about how when you leave, like if I may, when you leave and you go on holidays, like I worked with one business who's a power sports dealer. And he was running his entire service department and sales department based on one person.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yep.
Not a big operation, but he's doing like $2 million a year, maybe even more. And when that guy either took the day off or was sick, man, did they ever piss off customers. And it's like, I'm like looking at going, you got an operations problem here, buddy. You don't have a marketing problem. Who the hell with getting more traffic? You're just going to piss off more people.
Yep.
Because you see these negative reviews and you know why they're talking about this stuff. And it's like, you got to solve this problem first before anything else. So that's one of the benefits of the CRM, right?
Yep. It's easy to keep track of every interaction. It's easy to score and to, give different weights to different things. Like visiting the website's maybe worth 1 point. Filling out a form's worth 5 points. Responding to an email worth 1 point. Actually clicking on and going to the landing page is probably worth 3 points. And setting an appointment, going to the appointment link and booking a time to chat is probably worth 10 points. So guess what? Everything over 7 points, sales team needs to call that person within the hour. Boom. Easy as that, right? And you mentioned MQLs and SQLs.
Yeah.
The job of marketing is to generate MQLs or marketing qualified leads. What is that?
Yeah.
It's a visit or a click, right? It's people that have responded and interacted with your website somehow. What happens from there is either more back and forth via the choose your own adventure kind of stuff that I was talking about before via sales and marketing automation.
Yeah.
Or a lead gets picked up because it gets to a certain lead score. And then the sales team looks at it and says, is this person actually real? And that's a sales qualified lead. At that point, the sales team needs to give them a call. And then the cool part and where this marketing thing comes back into play, marketing is working on building the best MQLs as possible. Sales is working on getting the SQLs verified and telling marketing, these are great leads or these aren't great leads, and here's why. And then we're working together in brainstorming to say, okay, well, what else do they need? Or what are those pain points that your prospects are asking about? Or what are the biggest concerns that they have on working with us? Let's figure out a way to talk about it. And maybe let's get that into a sales sequence. So we'll tell them right away, you might be concerned about that our product is too expensive. Well, here's where we save you money, and we can be more, insert product here or insert thing that we can do for you here. We're faster to market, we're higher quality. You never get fired for hiring IBM, right? Whatever that is. Right? So all of that is super helpful. And that only comes through concerted and considered conversation where you're actually working with each other and using a system to tell you. If you don't have a CRM, there's no way you can do marketing because everybody's just kind of shooting from the hip and winging it. And that's just gone. The best example I have, of which is actually the reason why I started getting into inbound marketing through Bizzy Web, is we were doing a bang up job for a client. We were doing marketing. We built them a fantastic website, and they were getting, and we were doing some advertising, and they were getting like 80 leads a week out of our website. Thought we were doing fantastic because we had agreed that we only needed to do 50. So we were way overshooting our lead score. 3 months into the program, the owner calls me and said, I'm furious. This is awful. I hate it. I'm not getting a single sale out of it. I'm lighting money on fire. You guys are awful.
Wow.
What's the deal? I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Let's talk about this a little bit. Help me figure out what's going on. And then I thought about it and I was like, okay, I'm giving you 80 leads a week. What are you doing with those leads? It's like, well, what do you mean? I'm mailing them a brochure and nothing's happening. Like, oh my God, that's all you're doing is mailing them a brochure?
Oh,
yes,
my
you are
God.
Lighting that money on fire. So, just keeping on with what you've always been doing isn't going to work. And certainly just kind of spraying and praying and or doing things that probably shouldn't be done at all and thinking that's your entire sales process is a surefire way to fail.
Oh, totally. I mean, sending them the brochure is smart, in my opinion, for the very reason that it gives you a reason to phone them.
Right.
Hey, I was just curious. It's Sam Smith here from Sam Smith Motors. I'm just curious. Did you get that? We sent out a promotion with a coupon on it. We sent out a newsletter with a coupon on it. It made it look like a brochure the other day. We just wanted to make sure it didn't get lost in the mail.
Right. But that's what they missed, right? So they didn't have any of that. They didn't even, they said, that was the end of their sales process to mail a brochure. Dave. Yeah. So like, was there some miracle that you thought was going to happen after you mailed this thing? But yeah, so that's the other half of the conversation. And if you don't have marketing conversations where you're working back and forth and saying, we're sending out all these brochures, and to have the marketing team say, well, wait a minute, what's happening with those brochures? And the sales team needs to call after we send out that brochure, or here's some things, here's a coupon, here's a discount, here's some other thing to follow up on. You need to keep thinking about how else you can engage that person in conversation in order to get them to the decision to buy.
So what are some of the ways that sales and marketing do that? For instance, I'm alluding back to the car dealership because it's one of the major things that I have, but maybe the marketing person should sit in on the sales
Bingo.
meetings.
Yes. Have your marketing team do ride-alongs with sales, or it's easier in today's world, right? You just listen to the calls with HubSpot. I actually, every call that I make, I record, and our marketing team listens in on those sales conversations. All they have to do is go back to the recordings. And the other cool thing is the HubSpot version that I have. And again, you spend more for the pro level versions, whatever, but my version actually transcribes every call I make. So if I have a specific product that I'm looking for, or that I'm having a conversation about, my marketing team just needs to search for product name, and they'll get every conversation that I've had about that product, and they can see how I'm handling the objections to people and come up with some bit of smart content to either help solve that pain point, get in front of that person earlier, or give the salesperson something to hand them when they're concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. What about vice versa though? How can sales connect more with marketing? I mean, we've talked about how marketing can, understand the sales side of things more, but what about flipping the conversation the other way?
Right. So the biggest thing that marketing wants to know is what I'm spending all this time on working. So sales needs to give people feedback, or needs to give the marketing team feedback to say, it seemed like when this person called me, or when I answered this thing, I know that they had downloaded this white paper, but they had no idea what we were talking about, or they had a completely different idea about what we do than what we expected, right? So you need to give your marketing team feedback to say, this is how that message was actually received.
Yeah.
And give them the ideas.
Wrong with the messaging.
Yeah. Or, when you sent out that last email, I got half as many calls as what I normally do after we send out a big push. Yeah. So the message that you sent didn't land with the people that we were trying to hit, or more likely it landed, but with the wrong people. Right. So I was trying to get in front of owners, and you got me in front of tacticians. You got me in front of the line people, and they can't make decisions. So I need you to executive this up a little bit. Talk a little bit more about ROI. Talk a little bit more about whatever those key things are. Right.
Which goes down. So
that's the feedback that you give the marketer. Yeah. So focusing, and that's a fantastic thing. I'm glad you brought up personas. Personas get beat up a lot in marketing because people think that it's kind of window dressing on what you do. It's like, but you actually need to come up with a good idea of who your ideal customer is and make that as clear as possible, and keep thinking about what their objections are, what's going to make them open their eyes a little bit wider and start nodding and smiling. And especially, where do they spend their time? Are they on Facebook? Are they tweeting? Are they, doing the latest craze on TikTok? Where are they hanging out? And that's where you need to, as marketing, start filling out and adding content into those spaces.
Absolutely. You triggered my memory. Don't ask me where I read it in my years of doing this, but it was a story about this product, and this marketer was pitching this product to the president and vice president. And they're like, oh no, Sally wouldn't like that. And oh no, Sally wouldn't like that. And they kept going on about Sally. And so the person finally asked who Sally was. And Sally wasn't even a real person. It was their persona.
Yeah,
they had
I love it.
So dialed in.
Yep.
That they knew exactly what their market wanted based on this finely tuned, dialed in persona.
Right.
That they over time they created it to the point where they knew what their customer was going. And sometimes I think business owners think that's bullcrap. I could use stronger words, but it's not, man. It's like so. I don't care if you're a plumber or if you're a renovator or a hairstylist. You need to know what the problem is of your target market. Right. And who they are, how much money. It's so easy, to be frank with you. I mean, I know I keep alluding to the car industry, but it's so easy in that industry. And they take it for granted. Oh man, do they ever take it for granted, Dave? Because like everybody who buys a car, you literally share, you got to give them your driver's license. You got to give them your credit history. I know what you did for a living. All that data goes in the CRM. I mean, when I wanted to learn who bought the sedan, entry-level sedan that we were selling, I just looked in the CRM. But it's mind-boggling to me, Dave, that the owner, the manufacturer didn't have that data. And we're talking about a very large manufacturer. It's just amazing to me that my eyes were opened up to how much.
I love it. Yeah.
And it's how much work there is for us to do.
Right. And with great power comes great responsibility. Right. And so we have to not be creepy. And we have to add to the conversation as much as possible as marketers and as sellers. A lot of times people will come to me and just ask, hey, can I just buy a list? Like, well, you can, but you mentioned this before. A list is just a great way to piss off the most people as possible in the shortest possible time. That's called spam. You know, I'm in Minneapolis. And spam, the hometown of spam is Austin, Minnesota.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. So
I know a little bit about it. I have
spam's all right. It gets a bad rap.
I have a few cans of it in my
digital.
I have a few cans of it. No, I have a few cans of the actual real stuff in my.
It's wonderful. Yeah, digital spam is not good, and all it is something that you don't want, right? So if I send you an email that has nothing to do with you, that missed your mark, it was like, I'm not interested in this thing or this product or this service, that's spam. And so the way that you solve for that is you make sure that your communication is as targeted as possible on reaching the people that you want and what they're asking for. What are their needs? What are their wants? What's the content that they're looking for? And you just keep giving them more of what they want.
Yeah. It's more about providing value.
Yes.
With sales embedded into the messaging rather than just the straight sales hard hitting buy my stuff now. It's like if you can provide value in the sense of information, because we are in the information age, that's a way better way about doing it, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Is there a balance that you found between, recommending to companies how much the balance between, the amount of communication that's informational, promotional, maybe embedded versus how much is just straight promotional?
It's the
80,
general
20, 70, 30.
Yeah, I'd say there's a rule of thumb, but it's different for everybody, and you need to be testing and measuring to make sure that you hit it right. The one easy answer is it shouldn't be 100% about you, and it shouldn't be 100% promotional. Yeah. What I find engaging and seems to work for most of our clients is about half of what you do should be engaging content, interesting, informative, the fun stuff, the did you knows. The things that when you have a conversation with someone, if it's your mother-in-law or, a friend that you haven't seen in a long time, they ask you, hey, what do you do? And you tell them that one thing that makes them say, oh, cool, I didn't know that. Yeah. That's engaging content, right? So half of what you do should be engaging. The next 30% should be educational. And educational means things that people that have been engaged are going to react to, or things that they need to know in their purchase process. How much time does it take to get my solution involved? What are the actual steps to installing? If you're doing B2C, what's the unboxing of that product look like, or whatever. Yeah. And then the final 20% can be asking people what to do, or telling people what to do, the calls to action, and or the self-promotional stuff, what to do next. So again, it's kind of rule of thumb, but if half of what you do is designed to collect their attention or attract them, 30% of what you do is designed to reassure them that you're the solution that they're looking for by educating them. Yeah. And then the last 20% is just telling them, here's how to buy. Yeah. That's a pretty solid conversation. And again, if we go back to our buddy at the cocktail party, if I'm spending the entire time talking about me, that's bad. And likewise, if I flip it and I just sit there staring at you while you're talking to me and I don't ask any questions, I don't have any conversation, that gets creepy too, right? Yeah. So what's a good conversation? Well, it's a mix. You need to have some talking, some listening, and some asking good questions.
Absolutely. Hey, it has been an absolute pleasure having you here.
Thanks, Matt. This is fun.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Is there one thing? What's one takeaway you want people to get from this episode? I guess is what I'm trying to ask.
I think the biggest takeaway that I want for people that are either in sales or in marketing is that you need to work together and you need to use a system. Let technology do some of that lifting for you. CRM is a great solution if you don't use it. And if you're ignoring your sales team as a marketer, or if you're ignoring your marketing team as a salesperson, you're missing out on a massive opportunity to just crush it and to really help your customers.
Absolutely. Because you're on team revenue, not team marketing, not team sales. You're on team revenue.
That's right.
It's been an absolute pleasure again. If our listeners, how can they get in touch with you if they choose to do so?
The easiest way is to check us out at bizzyweb.com. That's B as in boy, IZZYWEB. Or you can find me at Dave Meyer on all of the major socials. Dave, the number one, MEYER.
Right on. Hey, it's been an absolute pleasure again. I'll make sure to put that information in the show notes. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks, Matt. Have a great day.
Yeah, you as well.